Okay, so now you've created your cell phone. We need to now go on to the next step of positioning your cell phone and also then designing the passive speaker to go with your cell phone. So the first step is to move your cell phone. As I have said before, there are a number of ways that you can do the same task. Some ways are easier than others. This way seems to be quite a good way to do it. So that I get an accurate side view, I'm going to go over to this little cube viewing tool, and I'm going to click on the right button. And so now I can move it around using 2 fingers on my mouse pad. And you'll see this is the ground level in blue here. And my cell phone is vertical and sitting on the ground. So I'm going to go up and click on the move tool, and I'm going to click on the cell phone. It gives me these tools to move it. As soon as I start dragging it, it gives me a number, and I've dragged it up 40 millimeters. You might want yours to be a little different, but this is how high I want it to go. It doesn't need to be massively high. Then I am going to rotate it using this little tool here. I often refer to it as the CD, but it's this little round tool, and I've dragged it and rotated it by 15 degrees. When I'm happy with how I've positioned it, I can click OK. Okay, so now here is my cell phone. If I use the orbit tool, you'll see it's now floating in the air above the ground. Get out of the orbit tool by clicking far away from it. Click on the home tool. Okay, so the cell phone is in the position, and I can always move it again, but it's in the approximate position that I'm going to want it for to make my passive speaker. Now, the passive speaker I'm going to design, I'm going to create a sidewall, and then I'm going to extrude that shape out. Other designs might be to create a shape and then kind of work from there. But anyway, this is the way that I'm going to show you for this example. So first, I need to start by clicking into the passive speaker layer. And I'm going to click on this little button. When I click on the button, my cell phone layer is ghosted. It goes into this. I can just about see it, but it's not in the object that I am creating right now. Okay, so just like how we designed the cell phone, I'm going to need to start by hitting the P button on my keyboard. And in this example, I'm going to choose this face. When we did the cell phone, I chose this face. I'm now going to draw it from the side over here. So when I do that, it moves to just a flat side view, and here's the side of my cell phone. Okay, now in my sketch that I'm wanting to start with, I'm going to click over here on this line tool. Now, a cell phone doesn't need to be immersed inside the passive speaker a huge amount. So I'm going to just hold on to the bottom part of the cell phone. So I'm going to click around about here, and I'm going to drag a line across. Now, I don't really care about the width of it because I'm doing it by eye. But what I do care about is the angle of it. And so if I hit the tab button, you'll see that the selected number goes to what it says 14.7. But seeing as my cell phone is angled at 15, I'm going to type in 15. So then no matter how long I drag this line, it's always at 15 degrees. So I'm going to by eye click on the width. Then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to carry on with my design. So I'm going to click around about here, and I'm going to come back And I'm obviously going to be modifying this, but I'm going to click right back here. And it's still at that same 15-degree angle or 90 degrees from the last line that I drew. Click here. And then now I'm going to come forward and kind of looking at the size and the shape of my passive speaker, I'm going to judge where I want this to be. Now I want to stop drawing after this next line, but I'm going to draw this one at 75 degrees. So I'm going to press tab and I want it to continue to be at 75 degrees. 75 is the opposite to 15 degrees, depending on what kind of a line you're drawing. So I'm now going to draw the line around about here. And if you see, I'm wanting it to line up with this. So I'm going to go to that line and I'm going to choose a point here. See, and then click up here. Now, when I go to the end, you'll see that it's going to change color. There we go, like that. Now, this end is really long, but actually I want to round it, so it will be a lot shorter in the future. So there I've got my basic shape. If I'm not completely happy with it, I can go back. Actually, I'm going to say finish sketch, and if you do something wrong. Now I'm just going to go back here and you'll see that I can also, I finished the sketch, but I don't want it so long. So what I might do is shorten it and I can click on things. I think I want it a bit shorter. So I can move objects around even after I've drawn them. So you can pull on angles and so on. The nice thing, because I specified that I wanted this to be at 75, if I click on this, it will always remain in that 75 connection. All right, let's go back to the house tool. Now, what I'm wanting to do now is extrude it sideways. But my cell phone here is right on the same layer. If I look on the front view of it, the cell phone is sitting right on the side. So when I go to extrude it, I'm going to take it a bit longer than it needs to be and then move the cell phone into it. I'll show you how I do that. So here we go. Now I want to go and extrude it. So I click on extrude and I'll click on this and you'll see I've got that arrow. Now I know that my cell phone is 85 wide. So I want this one to be maybe 95. So I'm going to type in the number 95. And that will give me 10 millimeters here that I can then pull my cell phone into it and have 5 millimeters on either side. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to say, okay. Now let's go back to the front view and let's just correct this cell phone. So that I'm going to go back to my cell phone layer. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to say move tool and I want to move it. Do you see it's clicking by 10? Just cancel that for a second, but I'm going to click here, move the whole body, and I want to move it not by 5, I want to move it by 5, not by 10. So I'm going to type in -5, and you'll see there that it's now centered it, and there's a 5 millimeter gap there and a 5 millimeter gap there. Okay, so the cell phone's right where I want it to be. I'm going to go back to the passive speaker and click into here. If we want to, at any point, we can have a look at how it looks. So I'm pretty happy with that shape. I just need to now start working on some radius and filleted corners. So I'm going to come out of this orbit tool by clicking far away. So one of the things I want to do is round this angle here. So I'm going to go to the fillet tool and I could specify a number. but you see it can only go up a certain amount, but I'm quite happy with that kind of a look. So I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to remember 25 was my angle. Now I want to do it to that back angle over here. That one there. And I'm going to fillet it, and I'm going to drag this out, but I'm going to drag it out to 25 again, just for the sake of a bit of consistency. Now you recall that I was saying that this tab here on the back, that angle is too long. Now watch this. If I click on that and fillet it, if I say I want it to be, let's say 10, it's going to round it quite short. So that's not quite what I want. Maybe 5. That gives me quite a good angle on the back. So 5 is my angle. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to the home tool, or let's rotate around. Okay. Look out here. That's my home tool. Now, I'm not going to worry about the holes inside here, but I am going to start doing fillets on the angles that I have created, or the edges. And I'm going to be selective about which ones. With the cell phone, I wanted all of them to be rounded. This time, I want only some to be rounded. So I'm going to click over here, press Shift again, click, 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 and click. And then I'm going to go up to the fillet tool. And I think I'm going to choose that 5 again, just for sake of consistency. Okay. Now, I may as well take it back to the home tool so you can see the shape